Praise be Jesus and Mary, now and forever. We're continuing our series on Franciscan Spirituality, today looking at how St. Francis viewed human nature and the human body. In our last reflection, we spoke about the saint's view of the human body contrasted with those spiritual movements which were often less than saintly. St. Francis sided with the saints, and he added his own characteristically unique perspective to the mix. In St. Francis, the love of nature has a purity and an evangelical sublimity which is or which was truly unique in Christian history. Friar Francis would go about the cities and the countryside of the verdant Umbria, of the pleasant and sunny Tuscany, as well as the opulent Lombardy region. He went along the clear coastlands of France and up the rugged Sierra regions of Spain. He wandered through the majestic streets of Rome, through the iridescent Campagna and the parched lands of Puglia. He passed by the sea and climbed the hills of Palestine, desirous for martyrdom. He saw and admired through pure eyes the beauty of creation, and with simplicity he welcomed it into his heart and into his own interior rhythm, making nature itself a means for perfection, an instrument for his sanctity. Francis' spirit was always leaning towards the infinite. He would see and appreciate nature, but then immediately look beyond the suggestion of the particular, the charm of the contingent beauty of things seen just in themselves. His thoughts would rise to the highest and most serene vision of creatures, in which fragmentation is composed in a harmonious unity. They'd rise to the global conception of nature, to a precise sense of the immensity of God, His beauty, and His love. From his way of loving God and loving things in God, and for the sake of God, there was a wisdom which quickly developed in St. Francis, and it enriched the spirit of his experience with new tones, and it gave him a synthesizing and essential intelligence of the whole universe, actually. The seraph of Assisi became a new man, as one of his biographers, Thomas of Gelano, called him. He was a new man, illuminated by grace, who found in the book of creation its lost original sense. And in nature, Francis was able to perceive the light of divine wisdom, to borrow from St. Bonaventure's understanding of Adam in his state of innocence. St. Francis saw nature like an atrium of a great temple, and he saw his encounter with it to be almost like a prelude of his encounter with the Creator God. He conceived nature as the symbolic expression of Christ himself. He sang of it and expressed his admiration for it as an artist of the divine, which is what he was. And the true sons of St. Francis have not been much different from him in this throughout the centuries. We see this, for example, in the lives of Friar Egidio and Friar Juniper in the woods and in the fields, fervently working among the rural folk. We see it in the preaching of the most learned of the early friars, Friar Anthony, St. Anthony of Padua, whose sermons were rich with images taken from nature and from plant and animal life. Friar Bonaventure, who elaborated this conception of nature and wise doctrine, is also, first and foremost, a clear and pure soul who's open to the beauty of nature. He also had a heart which was rich in affection, as well as his founder had. Bonaventure's thoughts often went to the Garden of Eden, in whose smiling beauty he sees reflected Christ. Christ, throughout his life, says Bonaventure, is called the paradise of pleasure, planted by the hand of God in the world and for the world. Bonaventure also calls Our Lady a paradise of pleasure in a heavenly sense, obviously. He also calls the church an irrigated paradise. He refers to the Christian soul as a paradise as well, all imagery linked to the Garden of Eden and the beauty of nature itself. Jesus on the cross, says Bonaventure, is the tree of life which whose fruits are the evangelical virtues, the effusions of grace, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. In all of St. Bonaventure's comparisons, there's something more than just medieval symbolism. There's also a sincere love and admiration for all the beauty which God has disseminated in creation. Creation speaks to his soul not just as a symbol, but as a living and breathing testimony of the goodness of God. And in his masterpiece, The Itinerary of the Mind to God, creation presents itself as signed with the footprints or the fingerprints of God everywhere. It's a ladder we can climb in order to reach our Creator, essentially. This tradition of love for creation has never gone away in Franciscan history. The 13th century English friar and philosopher Roger Bacon transformed the love of nature into a passion for scientific observation. Giovanni of Pian del Carpine, medieval Franciscan archbishop and diplomat, Blessed Odoric of Pordenone, missionary explorer, Friar John of Monte Corvino, another Franciscan missionary and statesman, founder of the earliest Catholic missions in India and China, William of Rubric, Flemish Franciscan missionary, Bartholomew of Cremona. All of them were ardent travelers, sublime in their love for souls and in their zeal for the extension of the kingdom of Christ. Their lives, if looked at on a purely natural level, could be seen as filled with love for adventure, desire for knowledge, exploration of new worlds, but their seraphic love purified and supernaturalized those desires. St. Bernardine of Siena, St. John of Capistrano, St. James of the March, Blessed Albert of Sartano, four pillars of the observance, as they were called, they kept and defended in the time of humanism and the pagan Renaissance that esteem of culture and that love for the beauty and harmony of creation which come from an exquisitely Christian and Franciscan conception of life. And the first great lyric of cosmic love after the poetry of the simplicity of the gospel asserted itself and radiated in the world through the Franciscans. The poet Jacopone da Tone in his Lauds synthesized this thought when he wrote this. He said, "Love, love Jesus. I have come to port. Love, love Jesus. You have led me there. Love, love Jesus. Comfort me. Love, love Jesus. You have set me afire. Love, love Jesus. Consider my needs. Keep me always in your embrace, united with you in true charity, the supreme realization of unifying love. Love, love, the world cries out. Love, love, shouts all of creation. Love, love, so inexhaustible are you that he who clasps you close desires you all the more." In this way, the sublime harmony between man and nature is recomposed through the cross of Christ, who purifies and reconsecrates all things contaminated by man's sin, and recomposed through the humble friar of Assisi and through his followers throughout the centuries. Let's ask Our Lady for the grace to be able to see nature and to see the created universe through the purified eyes of faith, as many Franciscans have done, and hopefully still continue to do. Praise be Jesus and Mary, now and forever.